Even I won't buy bacon anymore. It's too expensive. I said, I'd love to have some lovely bacon, darling. And she said, no, I'm sorry, it's too expensive.
This is my video update on this Monday midday, June the 24th. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the terrorist attacks. Yesterday, Sunday, in Crimea, terrorist attacks in Crimea and in Dagestan. 5 ATACMS with cluster munitions were fired into Crimea with U.S. surveillance targeting U.S. ATACMS, U.S. cluster munitions, illegal cluster munitions. They were fired into Crimea. 4 of the missiles were intercepted. One was, from what I understand, one was shot, but was hit, but veered off course, and the cluster munitions, they exploded over a beach where families and civilians went on a Sunday to enjoy the day. Children went to the beach on a Sunday. And 120 or 30 people injured, many children killed, many civilians killed, many people in critical condition, fighting for their life. One missile was hit but veered off course and detonated over the Black Sea port city of Sevastopol. Falling fragments of its cluster munition warhead led to numerous civilian casualties, including almost 30 children. So the Russian Ministry of Defense, they put out a statement. All the flight tasks for the ATACMS missiles are assigned by American specialists on the basis of their own U.S. satellite intelligence data. The Defense Ministry said, therefore, responsibility for the deliberate missile strike on civilians in Sevastopol lies primarily with Washington, which supplied these weapons to Ukraine, as well as the Kiev regime, from whose territory this attack was launched. The Russian military added that these actions will not be left unanswered. So this morning I read that the Russian military, they have destroyed military facilities in Odessa, and they continue to target military facilities in Odessa and destroy weapons, warehouses, and I think that will be the response for now. I think that will be how the Russian military responds to this terrorist attack for now. The Pentagon, they have not issued a statement. At the time of this recording, the Pentagon has said nothing about the strike on the Crimean bridge using U.S. supplied weapons. A lot of people are talking about how U.S. weapons, cluster munitions, ATACMS, surveillance and targeting those drones in the Black Sea. That, for some reason, I don't know why, I'm not a military expert. I've talked about this in many videos in the past. I don't know why Russia doesn't shoot down those drones. They've shot down a couple. They shot a drone down a couple of weeks ago, and then they shot another drone down about a year ago with a fighter jet. Remember that? But I don't know. I don't know why they don't go after those drones that provide, from what I understand, these are the drones that are providing their surveillance and the targeting. I don't know. I don't have an answer to this question. But the Pentagon has been silent. The collective West media, for the most part, has not really reported on this story. Expected that the collective West media is not going to really get into this terrorist attack. Why would they? Marjorie Taylor Greene, she posted this on Twitter X. This should not be happening. Imagine if Russia, using a Russian satellite, fired cluster munitions on a Florida beach. The only border our American military should be defending is our own border, and the Constitution mandates the federal government to defend the states. Listen to that tweet, that Twitter X post from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Imagine if Russia, using a Russian satellite, fired cluster munitions on a Florida beach. An admission, a statement, an admission from a U.S. government official, a representative in the House, saying that the United States, provides the surveillance and the targeting using a U.S. ATACMS missile to hit a beach in Crimea. That's basically what Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying in this Twitter X post. So the neocons will look at Russia's response by hitting warehouses in Odessa and maybe going after energy infrastructure. And the neocons are going to, if I had to guess, they're going to look at this as a sign of weakness. And Ukraine is pushing the Biden White House to give permission, right? So that they can use U.S. ATACMS, long-range missiles, to hit pre-2014 Russian territory. Last week, Jake Sullivan said that the White House has given permission to the Ukraine military to use U.S. weapons to hit targets outside of Kharkiv, but still not using long-range missiles. So eventually, Jake Sullivan will give an interview to CNN or whoever, PBS. They seem to like to go to PBS and give interviews to PBS. And he will say, you know what? We have indeed given permission to Ukraine to use long-range missiles to hit Russian, pre-2014 Russian territory. We've given permission. That's what Jake Sullivan's going to say in an interview. To use ATACMS to hit pre-2014 Russian territory, and Ukraine is then going to use the ATACMS along with U.S. surveillance to hit targets pre-2014, and then what? In Russian territory pre-2014, and then what? What happens then? This is Russia's red line. Russia has not given out many red lines, but this is one red line that Russia has stated. They have said, red line is pre-2014 long-range missiles into Russian territory. Now, I've said on many videos why Crimea has been allowed to be attacked. Why there's this exclusion of Crimea with regards to the red line on Russian territory. Why is it pre-2014? Why is that the red line? I don't know. I can't answer that question either. The only thing I could guess is that as the rules were being set out for this proxy war between both sides, the rule was don't attack pre-2014 Russia with long-range missiles. I don't know. I don't know how to answer the question of Crimea, why Crimea has been excluded from Russian territory with regards to ATACMS and Storm Shadow and Scout missiles. and why the red line is pre-2014, but it is what it is. It is what it is, and that's the red line. We're going to reach that point. We're going to probably reach that point very soon, maybe within a month or two. The more desperate the collective West gets, the more panicked the White House becomes. Sullivan, the campaign manager, the national security, but he is a campaign manager. He's a national security guy, but he is a campaign manager. He's going to become very nervous that Ukraine might collapse before the elections, and he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that that does not happen. And if that means escalating to the point where ATACMS are allowed to hit pre-2014 Russian territory, he will give the go-ahead. What happens then? I don't know. I don't know, but we're going to get to that point. We'll see. Should we talk about the other terrorist attack? Is it a coincidence that we had 2 terrorist attacks yesterday? I don't think so, but who knows? Terrorist attack into Dagestan. Oh boy, let's see. The terrorist attack into Dagestan. The latest reports are that 20 people have died from this terrorist attack. Among them, 15 security officials. Also killed was a priest, a church security guard, and 3 unknown people. 20 people are in the hospital. 6 terrorists were also killed. A statement from Patriarch Kirill: everything possible must be done to prevent even the possibility of radicalization of religious life, to exclude any forms of extremism and ethnic enmity. The spree of violence took place in the regional capital, Makhachkala, and the city of Derbent, 120 kilometers to the south of the Caspian Sea. In each city, a synagogue and an Orthodox church were targeted, presumably in coordinated strikes. In another assault, a police station came under gunfire, and they attacked a police station. Kirill said that the attack, the coordinated attack, had diabolic intent. The intent was to create division among the religions in Dagestan. So let's move on. Let's move on and talk about some other news. So the android AI robot known as Budanov, he gave an interview, I believe, to the Philadelphia Inquirer. Just in case you're curious what's being built here. Looks like this is going to be a nice sitting area. So Budanov gave an interview to the Philadelphia Inquirer. And what does Budanov talk about? He talks about ATACMS missiles hitting Crimea. That's what he talks about. He says that the conflict will be difficult on the front lines for about another month. I don't know what's going to happen in a month's time that will make the conflict less difficult on the front line for the Ukraine military. But 1 month is right about the time that NATO is going to be having their summit in DC. So according to Budanov, one more difficult month and then things improve for the Ukraine military. Why would they improve? Perhaps Budanov knows something that NATO is going to do. I don't know. I don't know, but he's talking in this interview about ATACMS being used to hit Crimea. He was asked about Chasov Yar and whether Chasov Yar would hold. He didn't comment on that. And that's about it. That was pretty much the interview from Budanov. The guy is still running his mouth. Unbelievable, huh? Budanov is still running his freaking mouth. Anyway, that was the interview. Let me see if he said anything else. I think that's it. He talked about destroying the bridge, the Kerch Bridge, okay. Isolating Russia in Crimea, okay. Let's shift gears and maybe we can talk about the European Union. They have figured out a way around Hungary's blockade of using the profits generated by the Russian frozen assets to purchase weapons for the Ukraine military. I thought they had already figured this out. I was under the impression that the European Union was already going to take 1.5 billion from the profits generated from the Russian frozen assets and hand that money over to Ukraine. I guess I was wrong. It looks like now the European Union has finally figured it out. They figured out a loophole, is what the Financial Times is saying. EU devises a legal loophole to bypass Hungary veto on support for Ukraine. My bad. I said loophole. The EU has devised a legal loophole, not just a loophole, it's a legal loophole. That's important. The EU is going to legally steal the frozen assets of Russia and use the profits. They're going to legally steal the profits from the frozen assets of Russia and legally use the theft of the profits from the frozen assets to purchase weapons, which they will then legally purchase weapons, which they will then legally send to Ukraine. Do I have that right? I had to work that out in my head. The legal process that the EU has devised. From the Sirius report, EU suicide mission. An agreement has been reached amongst EU member states to steal income derived from frozen Russian assets. They spectacularly failed to grasp that the euro and eurozone will suffer a backlash due to a lack of trust. Theft is theft, no matter how you try to dress it up. Yeah, but it's a legal loophole. It's legal. It's a legal loophole because the EU says it's a legal loophole. Anyway, let's do a clown world and we'll wrap up this depressing video. Oh, man. All right. Let's start things off with Germany and Robert Habeck, who told reporters on Saturday during his visit to China that strong ties between Russia and China have led to the deterioration of Beijing's trade relations with EU member states. In other words, Habeck, Germany is blaming Russia for the worsening relations with China. Blame it on Russia. So let me try to understand this. The European Union has decided to start a trade war with China, and they've decided to place tariffs on EVs, on electric vehicles, to kick off this trade war. China, understandably, is upset. They don't like this. What country would? And because China is upset at the fact that the European Union, most likely at the behest of their US masters, decided to launch this trade war with China, Russia's to blame. It's Russia's fault. Okay. Okay, Habeck. Whatever you say, bro. Man, Habeck's the worst. He's worse than Annalena. He's worse than Annalena, I think. At least Annalena provides us with entertaining clown world material. I mean, Habeck is just, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Whatever, Habeck. Blame, yeah, it's Russia's fault. It's Russia's fault. Yeah. Nothing to do with the tariffs, nothing to do with the trade war. Nah, nothing to do with any of that. It's just Russia's fault. Okay. So Boris Johnson, he has replied to Farage's article in the Telegraph, where Farage said that he will not apologize for saying that the conflict in Ukraine was provoked. Yes, Farage said that he doesn't like Putin. Yes, he said that Putin's a bad guy. Yes, he said all of these qualifiers. Whatever. Who cares? Who cares if Farage means it or if he doesn't mean it? I think he means it. I think Farage actually believes that Putin's a bad guy because he's been conditioned all his life, propagandized. Yes, Farage, you have been propagandized. You have been propagandized to believe all these things about Russia and the Russian leadership. Who knows? Maybe one day Farage will realize that he's been propagandized. Maybe he will educate himself. But who cares? Who cares? He said that the war was provoked. That's the important part. That's what he said. The war was provoked. He's gotten that out there. The taboo of Russia's unprovoked war of aggression has been broken. It's been broken by Trump. It's been broken by Farage. I believe it's been broken as well by RFK. I believe even Orban has broken it a bit, but Trump and Farage breaking this taboo is big. So everything else that Farage said in the article, or everything that he said in his video statement about Putin bad, Russia bad, blah, blah, who cares? Who cares? It's meaningless. Par for the course. Every collective West leader has to say these things. The important part is the war was provoked. That's the important part. And Boris Johnson, he posted on Twitter X, "This is nauseating ahistorical drivel and more Kremlin propaganda. Nobody provoked Putin and nobody poked the bear with a stick. The people of Ukraine voted overwhelmingly in 1991 to be a sovereign and independent country. They were perfectly entitled to seek both NATO and EU membership. There is only one person responsible for Russian aggression against Ukraine, both in 2014 and 2022, and that is Putin. To try to spread the blame is morally repugnant and parroting Putin's lies. It is bizarre that the author should also suggest we now reduce our support for Ukraine when the solution to the conflict is in fact clear. The Ukrainians need to win and to repel Putin's invasion. They can and they will. The problem in the last 30 years has not been Western provocation, but Western weakness in the face of Russian aggression, a weakness exemplified by this article." A long response to Farage's article from Boris Johnson. The reason it's so long is because Boris Johnson knows that he's lying. He knows he's lying. He knows, maybe he doesn't know, I think he knows that he is going to go down in history as the person who traveled to Kiev and sabotaged a peace deal, a ceasefire deal that would have saved hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions of lives. It would have preserved Ukraine as well. He's going to go down in history as that guy. That's what you're going to go down in history as, Boris. You can write your little posts and try to rationalize it in your little head, but you're going to go down in history as the guy who sabotaged a ceasefire that would have saved Ukraine. And you sabotaged that ceasefire at the behest, at the order of the globalist establishment. They ordered you. They ordered you to travel to Kiev like a little messenger boy and to sabotage the deal. Man, that is sad. That is sad, pathetic, evil. Yes, evil, but sad and pathetic. And Boris Johnson knows it. That's why he has to post tweets like this one. Deep, deep down inside, deep down inside, he realizes how history will remember him. Yep. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Use the code football24. Pick up some football merch. And that's it for me today. I think rain is on the agenda, huh? Take care.